Hi, my name is Pablo Requena and I would like to show you how I do the carving on the neck of a Spanish guitar. So over here I've got this guitar that I've been working on for some time now, and I'm at the stage in which I'm going to be carving the neck. You can see I've got it well held into the bench with this device that I've got made so that I can fix the guitar into the bench quite safely. And now you come a bit closer, basically what you can see is that there's several jobs and I'm going to be doing this in stages. The first thing that we need to do is to get the right thickness for the neck here, and then there are three main jobs that have to be done to be able to get the neck sorted out. The first thing is to carve the center section of the neck, the shaft. Once this is completely rounded and have the right shape, then we have the head, which needs to be blended into the neck, and then we have the heel, which also needs to be blended into the neck. So those are the three main jobs: the neck, the head and the heel. Now for the shape of the neck, I've got a diagram over here and I can explain to you what I've done so far, or what we're going to be doing as well. Hopefully you can see the dimensions. These are the dimensions that I use. Obviously you will be adjusting this to your own dimensions. In this column you got the section at the first fret, and in this column here you got the section at the 9th fret. So if we were to cut the neck at the first fret, we have this rectangle and it's 52mm wide and 21.5mm thick. At the 9th fret it will be slightly bigger, it will be 62 wide by 23.5 thick. So I will be doing a center line, and I will show you all of this in the guitar how it works, but I will explain to you at the moment here. I've got my center line, and from the center I need to mark this distance, which is 13.5, and then from the base up 8.5mm. And once I got these two positions marked, I'm going to be removing all of these excess. And I've got the dimensions here for the 9th fret, so I need to be marking those dimensions into the neck as well. Okay, so if you come over to the neck, then I can show you that I have already done this half here, which is, you can see it's got the right shape. But over here, I've already marked the first two lines. I've got my center line in there. The first line in this is this one, and then the other first line on the side is this one here. So let's see how are we going to remove this first part and start debulking the neck. So the first thing is to cut a couple of slots here. So I'm being very careful not to cut into the line, because if I cut into the line it means that I will be cutting into what it will be the neck later on. And now I'm going to do the same down at this end. Okay, so now that I've got those, I'm going to be removing those with the chisel. So this distance is just over an inch wide. It's just so that I can get a chisel here. So this one will fit in here. It's just a little bit tight, and that one will not fit in there at all. So I'm just going to use a 25mm chisel, and that will go in there very well. So I'm going to get comfortable. So I'm going to start removing the material here. So to start with, I can cut quite a thick shaving, but then as I'm getting closer to the lines, I need to start removing less material. Okay, so that one is ready. I'm now going to go into this one. Over here you can see the direction of the chisel is very important because I want to make sure that my hand is well away from it to avoid any accidents. Okay, so now all that is left to do is to remove the wood in between those two spaces, and having those two there, what that means is that I'm going to be able to have somewhere where to fit in my tool. So I'm going to start with the chisel, and if the grain allows me to do it, then I'm going to do as much as I can with this. You don't have to do this with a chisel, you could do it with a spoke shave. You can also use a plane, which I will be using a bit later on. But basically any tool that is very sharp and that you feel comfortable with could be good for this job. So like before, I'm able to cut quite thick shavings, and then later on, once I get a bit closer to the lines, then I will start being a little bit more careful and cutting thin to make sure that I don't cut over the line. Okay, that wanted to go too close, so I'm just going to back off from there. So now I'm going to go into the plane. So the line is starting to disappear here, so I'm just going to leave it there. And what we need to do now is to mark the next set of lines. So if we come back to our diagram here, you can see that now we've got this shape into the neck. So now we're going to produce this shape in here. So from that section, I'm going to mark again from the center line to the side 7 millimeters, and then from that new line that we have, which is this one up here, then we're going to mark down 5.5 millimeters and mark those two lines. And then we will be doing the same, coming up from the edge at the bottom 5 millimeters, and then 5 millimeters in from that new edge that I have. That's for the first fret position, and that's for the 9th fret position. The dimensions just they are very slightly different, but we need to do those adjustments. So now I'm gonna mark those lines. I have a little diagram here, so for me it's just a lot easier to work with this one. So let me get my head around this. So I'm doing the one on the top first. So I'm taking this dimension, and because it's full size I don't really have to measure it, I'm just gonna use the caliper. So I'm gonna mark this one here and this one here, and then the one for the other side. This one over here, and the other one over there. Now I'm going to join those dots. I've just made this straight edge. Otherwise, if I use a normal ruler, it won't fit in there because of the length. So that's my first line. Now that's not going to fit in there. So I'm going to just cut it very slightly. And then this one here. So all I have to do now is to remove the wood in between these two lines, and I'm going to do this with the rasp. Okay, so I've just created a new flat facet, but I made sure that I didn't remove the black lines. So now I'm gonna be marking the line at the bottom and the one that comes in from this edge. So I'm gonna take that dimension again from my template. And then at the bottom I have 6 millimeters. Let me check on the diagram. Yeah, it's 5 and 6. So what I'm going to do is to use the edge of the fingerboard as a guideline. So sorry, I need to join this line first. So now I'm going to remove it like I've done before with a rasp. Okay, so now I have all my facets, and all I need to do is to knock off these new lines that I've created. These two first ones I only need to remove them very slightly, but this one I need to remove quite a bit more, so that's what I'm going to be doing now. But I do this by eye because now I've got all the basic shapes there, so I don't need to put in more lines. Okay, so all that's left to do is to round everything up with the rasp. I also use, to make sure that everything is flat, I use a block of plywood with sandpaper stuck to it. It's quite coarse, so it does cut quite well. So I can use it to level things out. Right, so I've got quite a bit of sanding to do. But now I've got the basic shape here, so I don't really want to do much more now. And the next job to do will be to work on the head and then to work on the heel to get all this excess of wood shaped into the neck. So that will be the content of another video, and this is all I'm going to do for now. I hope you find it helpful, and to me it's very helpful because I find that this is a very methodical way of obtaining an even shape, and depending on the shape that you want to use you can adjust the dimensions, and so it's fairly simple to do and it's not as daunting as it might look in the first place. So I hope you find it helpful, and yeah, look out for the next videos. See you later.